Stallions. Today we're going to go over additional adjectives that describe people's personalities. We went over the original ones that are in the book on Página 70, our new blue and white ayer, right? Yesterday. And today is the day we're going to go over the additional terms. So what I'm showing you on the screen are the additional adjectives. The nice thing about most of these is they are cognates, and so you'll be able to guess, what they mean for a lot of them. So let's go ahead and get started. You will be, no pun intended, but you will be responsable for these terms, even though they're not in the book. They are going to be on your tests and your activities that you work on in class and things like that. So here we go. And by the way, I am putting a copy of this video in the video file, and I'm putting a copy of this written document in the document file so that you'll have access to it if you need to. Responsable. Whoa, did you see how that happens, Stallions? We didn't want that to happen. Responsable is exactly responsible, right, in English. So I'm going to go back to responsable, though. Okay, and chistoso is funny. Chistoso is funny. So the book gave you gracioso for funny. Remember the one that I told you was a false cognate? It looked like gracious, and I said that's a false cognate. Here is another funny, okay? In fact, there are tres funnies in Spanish. There's the one in the book, which is gracioso, graciosa. There's chistoso, chistosa. And then if you go down here to cómico, cómica, that also means funny. So there really are three funnies in Spanish. Okay, now if you knew that a chiste was a joke, you'd think, okay, someone who tells a lot of chistes, like a jokester, is funny. Jokesters, at least sometimes they think they're funny. Maybe they're not always funny, but they think they're funny. So a chiste is the noun joke. So then it kind of makes sense that chistoso is the adjective funny, like a jokester is funny. Okay, diligente looks like diligent, and that's what that means, which is hardworking. That's another way of saying trabajador or trabajadora. Someone who is diligente, it means they're on task, they're hardworking, they're very aware and focused on what they're doing. Desorganizado, desorganizada is a synonym for desordenado, desordenada. You already have that other one in your book, correct? You have desordenado in your textbook and desordenada. Now we're giving you another way of saying it, a synonym, an alternative. And a lot of stallions like this one better because it looks like disorganized. You know what I mean? So that's why a lot of stallions like this one better. And remember, English is dis, is Spanish is des. And here is once again an example of that. Honesto, honesta, silent H. Obviously, no brainer, right? Cómico, cómica, looks like comical, comedian. We talked about how that means funny. Creativo, creativa is creative. So this goes hand in hand sometimes with being artístico, artística. A lot of artists are creative people, but they don't always go hand in hand. Like I feel like I'm a persona muy creativa, but I do not feel like I'm artistic. I don't feel like I have any skills or talents, but I do enjoy putting weird things together, color combinations together to make things. Just that's from a creative aspect that has no skill involved. Okay. Organizado, organizada, organized. We just talked about this one. So this is an alternative to ordenado or ordenada, isn't it? Feel free to use either one. Atlético, atlética is English's athletic. Now, the thing about this one is there's no H. And the reason is the TH in the Spanish language does not exist. You'll never see a T sit next to an H in the Spanish language, ever, in any word. So no surprise it doesn't do it here. Atlético, atlética. So it's kind of tough to get in that habit of getting rid of that H, but we must. Atlético, atlética. Accent on the E de elefante for me, okay? And then let's remind ourselves that we learned deportista yesterday. Remember, ista stays, ista stays, ista stays, ista. So these two are synonymous. Someone who's really into deportes and someone who's muy atlético, they go hand in hand. Remember, this one is both girl and guy. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to color half of it azul and half of it rosita so that you realize that it's both genders. Okay, so it's good to go. It's written in cement. It's all ready to go. It cannot be changed. It can get an S on it, but it cannot go isto. There is no isto ending. Let's go to bondadoso, bondadosa. That word is generous. Okay, and kind. It can also mean kind. Someone who's very bondadoso, generous and kind, like gracious. Remember how we were talking yesterday about gracioso looking like gracious? Well, here is the real way to say gracious. Bondadoso, generous, kind, gracious. If you look at the bond portion, you probably know that bond, stocks and bonds have to do with money. And then if you go to jail and you have to post bail, post bail, you go to a bail bondsman, they call them. So that refers to money too. Okay, so let's go do, and a lot of times we think of generous and generosity with money. Not always. You can be generous with your love or your time or affection. Not always money, but a lot of times it is money, right? Okay, cruel is evil, mean, right? Mean. Someone who is cruel is evil, mean, bad, unkind. Okay, cruel. And you have heard of Cruella de Vil from the Dalmatians movie. Cruella de Vil, cruel devil, right? Okay, now cruel is good for a girl and it's good for a guy. It's neutral. It's both. So I could color it half and half, or I could just do it all gris, I guess, to indicate the neutrality of it. But I'll just do half and half since that's what I did here. Generoso, generosa also means generous. Now, remember, we already learned bondadoso and bondadosa, so now you have an alternative word. A lot of people don't like to use this one because they don't like to pronounce that G with the H. You can do it as an H if you prefer. Generoso, generosa, or you can H-ify it. Generoso, generosa. And amable is friendly. Amable is friendly. And so we already learned like bueno and buena is good and friendly. Simpático we learned is friendly too. So there's lots of ways to say it. Just like in English, there's multiple ways to say friendly and kind and nice. Correct? So let's go with friendly. Let's go with kind. Let's go with nice. And then let's realize that simpático is also all of those. Okay, simpático, simpática is all of those as well. So these are all of your extra terms. Let's say them one more time. Responsable, chistoso, chistosa, diligente, desorganizado, desorganizada, desordenado, desordenada, honesto, honesta, cómico, cómica, creativo, creativa, organizado, organizada, ordenado, ordenada. I can put that one with Rosita. And then atlético, atlética, deportista is all ready to go. Bondadoso, bondadosa, cruel, generoso, generosa, and amable. And amable is gender neutral as well. It's good to go. It's both female and masculine. Muchas gracias, stallions. Ciao.